Hello and welcome to Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. A podcast with Jasmine, me, and with today, my friend, Eva Reynolds. Eva, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on your podcast, Jasmine. I'm very excited.
It's fun. I'm looking forward to our conversation. We've had Let's Chat about before, so I said I have to have her on again. So Eva, just for the people who are listening to this episode, can you just let us a little bit know where you're from and what you do?
Sure. So I was born in Ireland, in the west of Ireland, and lived there for most of my life until I graduated from university and moved to the UK, to London. Prior to that, I'd had a few pit stops in the United States, in Greece, teaching English, but made my home really in London for many, many years, and where I founded a communications company that I grew and sold to at that point, FTSE 100 listed company. And I guess I stayed there until a few years back, when I left as CEO at that point and went on to study at Michael Neil's Super Coach Academy, where I met you. And in between times, I have become mother to two little girls and stepmother to a little boy and a little girl. So we have a big family, and Jasmine and I were just talking a little bit about our latest addition to the family, which is Perry, our chocolate Labrador puppy. So that's me.
Nice. And are you like actively a coach now that you've done Super Coach Academy? Are you like, is that your new business?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm going to try and answer that as best I can. So I am, yes, I'm operating as a coach in the business sector, and I guess I'm still on a voyage of discovery about how best I want to integrate what I've learned within the Super Coach experience into how I develop my business going forward. But what I'm seeing is a huge need, an enormous need, and perhaps, you know, I've been on a journey towards Super Coach for many years, having led a business, having run a business, and understood what might have been missing along the journey. And I guess that's that need to really understand how we operate as human beings. And when we understand that, we understand each other much more deeply. And when we understand each other, we have a real opportunity to communicate and be understood and understand. And when all of those things are at play, businesses, in my opinion, can not just thrive, but really create amazing things in the world. So I guess that's where I'm at, is figuring out the best way in which to have this understanding that you and I have happened upon be more easily integrated into how people approach their professional lives.
Yeah, you know, I think we're in the same inquiry, because, you know, one thing that I'm working on too right now is kind of like, you know, you take all of these classes, you know, when you're self-employed or a solopreneur or you're a small business owner, you know, it's like, okay, well, how do I do this and how do I do that, and what is the best way and the most productive way and the most time saving, you know, like there's all these things that you take these classes. So there's the marketing, and then there's the sales, and then there's the branding, and then we can just get so overwhelmed with it all and just get lost into it, right? And lately, that's actually what I'm settling into also. I've been working with companies. I've been working with business owners for the past 30 years. Started out as an entrepreneur, as an employee, and turned into an entrepreneur. And you know, I've seen that all companies are led by humans, you know? So I totally get you that just understanding how we work and how we deal with different things. We all deal with things. We deal with them differently.
Yeah.
And when you're inside a company, when you're working with other people, well, then you have to know how to compose, I'd say, with, you know, whatever's happening with the other people you're working with.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you. As soon as you understand yourself, then you can actually understand others.
Yeah. And I guess that piece around separate realities is hugely, hugely beneficial for most people in big corporate organizations to understand. This idea that we're all wandering around with the video tape playing in our own heads around our version of what's really going on, and being able to understand that that is the reality for that other person, and having compassion and perhaps curiosity for that, and I guess entering into any meeting, any negotiation, any sale, any interaction at all, with an understanding that the person that you're dealing with is going to have a very different outlook on where this is going and where it's going to end up. And today only, you know, I do a series called What If Wednesdays with a colleague of mine from a previous job, and we look at things that have occurred or come up for us in some of our business interactions in that particular week. And the one that occurred to us this week was the idea of what if care, and I guess it occurred to me on, you know, with the Valentine's Day looming, this idea of approaching interactions with an intention of care for the other people involved in that interaction, irrespective of our need to meet our objective. I mean, that's there already, but what if we layered care on top of that? How might that influence not just the outcome, but also the experience of that interaction, the experience of that whole connection with that person or those people in that meeting? And I think for the better. Absolutely. And I think care and that sense of that duty of care for other people in the transaction not only enables a more expansive, more hopeful, more creative atmosphere in that whole interaction, but it also, irrespective of the outcome, leaves an imprint that goes beyond just what you experienced in the moment. It leaves an imprint sometimes of trust, of hopefulness, of the opportunity for more inspiration, more expansive thinking. So I guess what I'm up to at the moment is, you know, you talked a lot about solopreneurship and figuring out where I'm traveling on this road of, you know, super coachdom. And I'm holding on a lot less tightly to where that's going to end up, and exploring with these new eyes what could be possible in the corporate environment with this new understanding, with this new thinking, and listening to people, and experiencing and luxuriating in the insights that come from those interactions, and seeing where they're leading. And for once, not really having to be absolutely clear on where it ends up. And that feels really kind of like living the life that I want, Jasmyne, in relation to your podcast. It's not knowing the destination that actually I realize makes it much more fun from my point of view. Is if I know the ending to the movie, it's not as much fun. And not having the finish line in my sights, not being really clear about what the prize is surprisingly much more rewarding than I realized.
It's so funny because it's like, you know, I do these inspiration fix, daily inspiration fix on Instagram. And this morning I was, you know, in a creation mode, and I was there's something that showed up. So like it just shows up. Our mutual friend Georgia Bazin, she says it drops in. She says this dropped in. For me, it just shows up. Like all of a sudden I see it. And what showed up for me was, and this is something I'd seen before or I'd heard before, but it just kind of like, it just like landed. So like it was just more grounded in that moment. But what it is that there's always a gap between where you are and where you want to go. There's always a gap, but where you want to go never really arrives, because you always want to go somewhere. So where we live is in the gap. Right? We forget that we're living in the gap. So we're always looking at where we want to go. And when we get there, we kind of go, that's it, you know, but the joy is in the gap.
It's the experience, right?
Yeah. So I totally get it. I'm right now, just, it's kind of like everything that I've learned, I kind of like, oh, there's a little pile here and a little pile there and a little pile here, you know, like of everything that I learned. And I'm starting to see it form.
Yeah. Good.
It's now starting to take shape and starting to look like this is, you know, that's why I call it live the life you want, you know, and that's why I generally speak to solopreneurs and entrepreneurs and small business owners, because we kind of do stuff on our own and then we delegate stuff, but like we could get lost inside it all and then forget to live our life. Forget that what we wanted to do was like, we wanted to be solopreneurs so that we could live the life we wanted. And then we get stuck in the doing and the, so I love having the conversation of, okay, well, how did you get there? Like, so if you look at the title of the podcast, it's Dream It, Dare It, Do It.
Yeah.
Right? So there's always dream. So there's like,
I don't understand.
Google decided to talk. Stop talking. I'm not talking to you. So it's like, so we have this idea, this is where we want to go. And then dare is, we got to let go of the thinking that we have that we can't do it. And then there's the doing. So it sounds like, and I was listening to you speak, it sounds like you've done things in your life. You know, if I look at the business, the moving around and the teaching and the super coach and the kids and the step kid, like you've lived, you know, you've lived your life.
Yeah.
So how did you do, like, have you had experiences of doing was difficult, or has it always flowed? Like, how was the experience of doing for you? Doing things.
Okay, that's an interesting question. I guess I have always been led by my feeling. And yeah, I mean, a thirst for adventure, perhaps, and a willingness to try. And the things that occurred to me to do that felt like a yes, and I think I remember Michael saying this perhaps in our first week, the kind of, you know, the feeling, the intuition, the kind of knowing when it's a real yes or it's kind of a quiet yes. But anytime I heard the big yes, I just went for it. And maybe that was youth, but it was also a real desire for experience, a real desire to savor experience. And, you know, I guess what I've learned from Supercoach is the idea that, you know, there is no wrong decision. and along the way, when things didn't quite work out the way that I'd hoped, I might have seen the bad news as the bad news. But the enormous benefit of hindsight, when we stand outside of it all and we reflect, we realize that they were all good decisions. They were all the right decisions. They were the decisions that I made at the time with the information that I had, and it felt like the right thing. And even now, looking back at all of those decisions, I wouldn't change anything. And you know, I got it right sometimes, Jasmyne, and sometimes, you know, things didn't quite go the way that I expected. And there were sad times, and there were times where, you know, I got hurt, people got hurt. But then there were also really super joyous times and successful times, and times where, you know, I felt completely alive. And you know, setting up that business was so much fun. And it was more about not I guess, a road to world domination or a sense of wanting to create something really extraordinary. It was a moment of thinking, that feels like the right thing to do. That feels like a really good idea. That excites me and it makes me feel alive, and I'm going to follow that feeling until it stops feeling like that. And I guess at that point, I decided to sell the business. And I guess it's listening in as much as we can each time to what feels like the right thing to do. And I guess just waiting to see where that ends up. And, you know, Supercoach taught me that no matter where we land, we always have the opportunity to create a new future. That we're only ever one thought away from changing the direction of that, following a feeling that is leading us in that direction. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess more than ever now, looking back and looking forward, I feel that really strongly, that it's up to me each time to stop and listen to how this is feeling. And if it's feeling good, keep going. And knowing that I can always change the direction. And it means nothing about me if I arrive at a point where this isn't looking like the outcome that I had predicted. Because guess what? I'm not capable of predicting the future. I'm only able to operate with the information that I have at any moment, and I can act on that. And when I get to the point that it feels like maybe I need to change direction, I can change direction. And it doesn't mean anything about me. And every time you let go of what that might mean, you get to move on more freely to the next thing. And that's the dare it bit, I think. It's knowing that you're always just doing the best that you can based on what you know. And if you are feeling, which to me is the strongest guide to my own safety, I can trust myself with my own safety. And if my feeling's telling me to go in that direction, well, I'm going to go in that direction until it tells me something else.
Yeah, it's basically no matter what, no matter what, we're okay.
Yeah.
Like, and you know, the other day I was talking, I don't remember, I've been talking to so many people, but I was talking with someone and we were talking about, you know, no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay. Even if in the next moment I die, right now, I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like, it's now up until and including death, you know, whether we like, so you could be afraid of it.
Yeah.
But the fact is, it is what it is. There's no right and there's no wrong. There's just what is. So if that moment is that, then live in the moment. There's really no future. You know, there's just what's happening now. What can you do now? And you may have felt like you've controlled it at some time in your life.
Yeah.
But I really doubt that you have. You know, it's like we have no control over it. I mean, just look at the pandemic. I mean, we've got no control. This is like the perfect, you know, thing to see how we have no control over this. The only thing we can do is in this moment. Am I okay? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You deal with that in that moment.
Yeah. And I kind of think if I had obstacles or if I had things that held me back, you know, previously, prior to gaining our understanding of the principles, it might have been moods, actually, and what that meant about me. And I think understanding that having moods, good moods, bad moods, and where those led meant nothing about me. It was just a very human experience. And what led from those moods, the good feelings or the bad feelings, and what happened consequently, the judgment about where those moods led me, that was probably the most rate limiting part of my existence, was taking that too seriously, paying that way too much attention, and seeing that clearly for what it was, thought in the moment, that had led me astray, helped free up so much extra energy for me, so much extra time and energy, not spent ruminating about where my thinking had led me and what that meant about me. Understanding that we all have moods, and some days we're going to have moods that take us in a direction of thinking that might not be productive, and not letting it mean anything about who I am or what I'm capable of or where I'm going. And really seeing that probably was the biggest insight I had and have had to date around the principles, and the one that's helped me let myself off the hook, helped me let other people off the hook, and freed up so much more time and energy to pursue the things that are important to me, that matter, and spend less time just in the depths of my murky thinking about my inadequacies or, you know, whatever else might come up.
Today was I'm doing the course Fearless Living with Michael.
Lovely.
And so for those of you who don't know Michael, I'm talking about Michael Neal. He's basically our mentor, the person that we've done Super Coach Academy with. And, you know, our inquiry is all about, you know, learning how humans work. That's the essence of it all. And how powerful our thinking is. And in today's podcast, Michael was addressing, and I'm drawing a blank now because I I kind of like went to another place in my mind. But oh yes, so Michael was like, you know, at one point he decided to tell his family that he was prioritizing happiness from now on. He says, you know, I think I'm going to prioritize happiness. And that, you know, people thought that the people in his life, he said, the people in my life that I loved were like telling me, oh man, when is he going to wake up? You know, and it made me think that, you know, I'm the same. And I did this, but I did it with harmony. I prioritize harmony. And the thought that came to my mind was, you know, I prioritize harmony, and if this makes me a doormat, then so be it. You know, it's kind of like what I want, and like I will always prioritize harmony over being right or being wrong, you know. And there's like these things that I do and that I now catch myself doing. Like the other day I was talking with somebody and I caught myself defending. I was defending myself, like somebody was attacking me, and I kind of saw it in my being.
Yeah.
You know, I was like having this face, you know, and this banging on and I'm like, why am I like, this person wasn't attacking me? So it's like, no, because there's this thing of you know, there's a reaction, there's action reaction that they just work together.
Yeah.
Like it's the same coin. You do an action, there's a reaction. And you know, if you're defending yourself, well, of course the person's going to react. They're going to continue attacking. If you do nothing with it, then there's nothing that's going to happen. And it's just like, the more that I look at how human being works and how I work, I can see it in action. Like I can literally see myself in action. And if once I see something clearly, then I can do something about it.
Right? Absolutely. You can step out of your own way. And, you know, that's what you've just described, was saying, if my priority is harmony, why would I get in the way of that? Why would I put something in the way of that? And, you know, it's interesting that, you know, you talk about what we do to get in the way of prioritizing harmony and prioritizing happiness. And I guess when we started, you know, when I thought about living my best life and coming on this podcast and what it looked like, and I can tell you, about 10 years ago, and possibly less than 10 years ago, it might have meant a discussion about my career. But today it looks a whole lot different. It looks mainly at how I get to give the best part of myself to my children and my stepchildren and my partner, and how the other things that I pursue in my professional life fulfill me and sustain me to live the other part of my life in the most harmonious way, and to show up better to those important relationships in my life. And you know, the more that I explore this, the more that I see the symbiotic relationship between the two. And we're always looking for the balance there. We're looking for the nourishment that we need for our own souls, for what sustains us as people. And when that balance has been tipped in, you know, in favor of then being able to show up as best we can for the other commitments in our lives, and be it partners or children or pets. But yeah, that's where I find myself spending time, is really considering where that balance lands and how I manage to keep those two pieces in harmony. And you know, I know when they're not, and I'm better able to see that coming and to react to it, and to understand when I need to adjust. And for me, that is living my best life. It's seeing that ahead of time. It's understanding it and knowing that, you know, pulling back in some of those areas means nothing other than that's what I need in the moment to show up the best that I can to all of the things that matter to me in my life.
Yeah, it's like we kind of switched our focus on the want, you know, like it's living the life we want, right? But it's I think it's more like, instead of looking at what do we want, it's what is life?
Yeah.
You know, what is life all about? What are we here to get the car, get the, you know, the house, get the, you know, whatever it is, the pants, or is it that we're here to live, to laugh, to have joy, to grieve, to, you know, like all of those things that make us human beings. I know for a fact that I would, you know, there were things that I was squishing, like there are things that I didn't want to feel. So I would like just shut it out and say, okay, I don't want to feel this, and I don't want to feel that. And, you know, like I didn't want to feel, for example, like for me, it's comfort. Like I need to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't want to feel discomfort. It was kind of like all or nothing. I had this was a theme actually with me. It was all or nothing. You know, it was either I loved or I didn't love. It was like there was a misunderstanding of what actually it was, what the love was, what the comfort was. Like comfort and discomfort go together. So sometimes I will be uncomfortable, you know, but it doesn't mean that I don't do it. Like, cause then that cuts off, that limits my life.
Yeah.
And I don't want limits. I actually don't want limits. If there's one thing that I know is I wanted to I've always wanted to live the life I want, because I didn't like the limits. I didn't want to be fit in a box. I never wanted to work a 9-to-5 job. That was a box. That was boring. That was like, I didn't want to go there. Right. Yeah. So, but it took me go to, working whenever I want and get totally exhausted because now I have absolutely no structures. And I realize that I actually need structure to live the life I want.
Yeah.
Like it actually took that for me to see it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's kind of, I guess, talking about discomfort and knowing that, that is the fullest expression of our lives, is that we feel comfort, we feel discomfort, we feel joy and sadness and pain and all of the whole gamut of emotions, and that none of it is permanent. And that we move through those states and those feelings, and nothing stays the same. And knowing that we can be okay irrespective of any of it, that at core that we're strong, that we have resilience, we have an inbuilt mechanism to overcome all of it, allows us to step into the unknown, to allow ourselves to experience that, and to know that we'll be okay. And each time we do that, knowing that we've got this, really we do, and we're reading the GPS, and it comes back to what we talked about at the beginning, which is the feeling. Following the feeling. Does this feel like I'm moving in the right direction? And if it does, we follow that until it stops feeling like that. And then you take a different direction. And that was a super eye-opener for me, to know that that's all we really need to know. We are the best judges of what's right for us. No one else can tell us the direction of travel. And we're here to live our own lives on our own terms.
Yeah.
And the only navigation system is inside us.
Yeah.
And there's something really liberating about that.
Yeah, it's all these people that are listening to us. Like all these thousands and thousands of people that are listening to us. It's like we're not, don't even follow what we're saying, because this was for us. Just look for yourself. What do you hear? What is it? What sounds like, yeah, that's true for me too. Just go with that, and then go live the life you want, and do that all the time. Like, just it's how's that for me right now?
Exactly.
Wow. I think this is a perfect time to stop. What do you think?
I love it. I think it just arrived, didn't it? That moment.
Voila. It is all done. Well, Eva, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Tell me, do you have a website? Like, if people want to reach out to you, should they find you on Facebook or LinkedIn?
Okay, well, yeah, I've just finished a website, and it is the engagement.coach, and that is where you can find me, and I will share the details with you. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm at Eva Reynolds, and yeah, that's my main social media pit stop.
Okay.
On Facebook, I'm just little old me.
Okay. I'm going to put them in the description of the podcast. Well, thank you so much for accepting my invitation again. It was a beautiful talking to you.
Yeah, my pleasure, Jasmyne.
And for those of you who are still listening, I have a segment with my friend Amy that's coming up. And I asked Amy a question about, the blood type diet, because I heard that, it was a good thing. And so that's what we're having a chat about. So I'm going to start that out for you guys. Enjoy the chat, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye. Well, hi, this is the segment Eat What You Want. And I have my friend again, Amy Crippen. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Amy, the other day, well, it's not just the other day, a long time ago, I fell into this, on this book, Eat According to Your Blood Type. So I'm O negative. So in the O negative, I saw that I can't eat strawberries, which totally sucks. I love strawberries. I tell you, I don't listen to it. I still eat strawberries. And they say that the O negative is an ancient blood type and that I should be eating a lot of meat, especially beef, red meats and stuff like that. And I have to admit, I kind of like love meat. And I'm an animal lover, and like I have to not think about what they do to the animal. I think I'm a closet vegan, but my body's like, give me meat. So
It might be your blood type.
yeah. So I was wondering, like, what do you think about? First of all, have you ever heard of the blood type? Like, it's not a diet. It's like eat according to your blood type kind of thing. Because as you know, I don't like dieting, but like, can we talk about that for those people who are like looking to eat what they want and they're not eating what they want?
Yeah. So I don't know a lot. I mean, I've heard of the blood type diet, but I've never like done any sort of research on it or read really anything particular. And I can definitely share my own experience too of dieting, and knowing what that feels like and not even realize I'm dieting. I think I'm just trying to lean into healthier habits, right? I notice I put on some weight. I want to lose the weight. So all diets fundamentally have a calorie deficit, right? Because the calories in, are supposed to be less than what you're expending. It's this mathematical measurement, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, scientifically, we don't even have a really good measurement of how many calories are in each thing. It's not very like
Precise.
Yeah.
Not accurate.
Yeah. Calories is a unit of energy, right? Like, so it's measuring energy, so it's trying to say what you take in will expend this amount of unit of energy. And there's really just no way to really scientifically study that because our bodies really adapt to whatever is needed. And so my experience has just been that I didn't even realize I was dieting. I didn't think that's what it was until I really started listening to my body and really evaluating how I wanted to feel and noticing the difference and the choices that I was making and how it actually made me feel. Because that's actually what I want. I want to feel that way.
I want to, just because, I want to do a little parentheses here because, people like me are looking at you going, you were freaking dieting. Come on, give me a break.
Well, I lost 60 pounds though. So
there you go. That's what I want you to talk about because I know, like, I knew that that's what happened to you, but anybody that's just listening to you and don't know you, they don't know this. So like, that's what happened to you when you lost your 60 pounds.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting to talk about this too, because I put on the 60 pounds the same way we talked about in the last segment, from stress and responding to the stress with a donut and a coffee every single day for like, I don't know, a year and a half or something. Yeah. And I loved that donut. I just wanted to go in and have the donut. And then I felt all of the lack of energy. I felt totally burnt out. I didn't realize, I felt like it was coming at me. I didn't realize it was, the way that I was like responding to the stress, so, so it was a slower. I didn't have like some amazing, like, I lost 60 pounds in 3 months. It took me like, I don't even really quite remember, but it took me like a year or something like that. It just slowly came off. But the nice thing is that, like, I don't have to, like, I don't stress about food anymore,
So you were literally just listening to your body.
Yeah, I mean, but also I was taking that information, and that we're told about, trying to eat more foods that I know come from like the earth, right? Like it's here. It's not in a box of chips and Cheetos and stuff. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever have those or brownies. That was part of the mindful eating process. I was being cognizant of those things, but I just, I didn't put all, some days I would eat a lot. Some days I'd hardly eat anything, because that's kind of how our appetites work sometimes, because that energy expenditure very, very variant.
Yeah, we have these rules, like those of us who are in the I need to lose weight world have pretty much read every possible thing out there. Well, you shouldn't eat after 7. You shouldn't eat before 4. You shouldn't have sugar after 8 p.m. You shouldn't have fruit. You should have fruit. You shouldn't have carrots. You should have greens. It's just like it becomes it's just so chaotic, and it, like, for me, like, literally I was just like, whatever, screw all of this. I am how I am. And if you don't like it, stop looking, because this is how I am, and I think I said this in the prior session, but I basically just put this, all of this subject, I put it in a box, and I said, okay, I put a key on it, and I stored it way, way far away so that I didn't have to look at it. And I was just like, no, I'm not looking at that anymore. I'm going to eat what I want, when I want, how I want, and that's it, And then that has definitely created that I gained a lot of weight, like, and on top of it, at the same time, I was watching my health, in the sense that, I stopped smoking. I was like, it was clear for me. It was like, okay, no, I'm not going to smoke anymore. This doesn't work for me. I don't drink software. Don't drink software. I don't drink software. No, I don't. I use software a lot. I don't drink soft drinks. I stopped in 2011, although I did start back again, but it's just like 1 per month kind of thing, where, as opposed to, it used to be, 2 cans of Diet Pepsi per lunch, per dinner, so it just gets very, like, we create these rules. We've heard these rules, and we've adopted some of them, and then we haven't adopted some of them. Like, we refuse some and accepted some, like, I don't eat after 7, like that one, I've adopted it. But is it true? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah. I played with that sort of stuff too. The what do you call it? Intermittent fasting,
Yeah.
And that's where some of this stuff gets really sugar coated as like, oh, that makes sense. Paleo, like, we weren't supposed to eat that way. Oh, that makes sense. My blood type.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. My body should rest and not eat, and have periods of rest, which is true. I mean, like, we have periods of rest, but it just literally, if we tune into the hunger in a different way, when we tune in and notice, like, that the experience and where it's coming from, and are mindful of, like, are we just eating to eat?
Yeah.
Because I do that sometimes too. Like, I still catch myself doing it sometimes. It's not like I have this like perfect expression of never eating when I'm not hungry, but it doesn't feel as comfortable anymore, because as much as as much as I got used to the donut every day and feeling icky, I now have like gotten used to like feeling better and know when I'm like, I almost forgot what it felt like to feel good,
Yeah.
you know, in that
Yeah.
state. And we can really trust ourselves, that we don't have to show up perfect for this at all.
So funny because, you know, the past few, I'm going to say since the beginning of the year, and it's recent while we're recording this, we're actually still in January, but I'm really, I have been skipping a meal. And I usually don't skip a meal because, you know, it's like you have to have your 3 meals. That was kind of like the thing that showed up for me. But I've been skipping a meal. And I have been waking up, you know, in the middle of the night hungry. And I've just been like, yeah, I'll eat in the morning, just go back to bed, you know, go back to sleep, girl. And it's been fine. You know, I haven't been you know, I haven't died by skipping a meal. But I noticed that I still believe that if I don't do my 3 meals a day, I'm going to get fat. Like I have to do my 3 meals a day. And then what I also noticed is that because I didn't do my 3 meals a day, I kind of start, you know, bad girl,
Thought hammers. Yeah, thought hammers.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So now there is adding stress. Like I'm adding stress and pressure to myself. So what would you tell me in this situation? Like, should I continue to do this?
No, that's definitely a no.
I know that was a stupid question, but
it wasn't stupid. Yeah, we definitely can't like keep, you know, hammering ourselves. Because is it working?
Yeah.
Are you stopping the habit?
No.
It's not helpful, right? So it seems like, okay, well then there has to be an upstream new idea for something fresh, something new to land on this, you know, to approach it in a way I haven't done before. And have you ever just tried listening to your body in a way where you
Yeah. Well, I think that I haven't been eating because I wasn't hungry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why I didn't like, I was like, okay, I'm fine. I don't need to eat. I was looking at the time, like now it's 8. Like, what am I gonna like make pasta and then I'm gonna be full? I'm like, no, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's this element of control that we sometimes want, right? That we want to like, when we do have the goal of like losing weight, we want to control how fast it comes off and like watch how fast it's coming off. And, oh, look, now we gained 2 pounds back. Like, what are we doing wrong? You know, instead of just like flowing with the consistent, like what actually maintains weight loss is that consistent habit. And if we're looking for a diet that we would never want to live on for the rest of our life, it makes no sense to even put that in the as a solution, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was going to say I'm not looking to lose weight. Obviously, I am looking to lose weight, but I'm not looking really at the weight. Not aiming for a certain weight. I want to be natural. I want to be, you know, at my natural weight for the body that I have. And I want to be able to move the way that I want to move. And I'm feeling more and more like that. I know that the past few years I've been working on my movement and my eating and my habits. And I've been looking at seeing, you know, the mental thinking, all the psychology that's there that I'm like trying to figure out that really makes no difference anyways, and just trying to live in the moment. So yeah, I just want to be the natural Jasmyne, you know, and haven't seen her in a little while, but I'm seeing her show up more and more. So yeah,
So I'm looking forward to more of our conversations, Amy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Just keep being you.
Yeah, thank you. So
Yeah.
thank you very much for doing this again. Everybody, keep doing it. Eat what you want. Look at it. Be mindful. Amy, what else do you like? How would you like to end this segment?
Yeah. Just be gentle with yourself, you know? Yeah. Don't lay our worth is not in our bodies or what we eat. Our bodies and what we eat are just part of the experience, and we should really enjoy both.
Cool. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye. Bye.